So I'm in a transitionary period in my life, so I thought it would be fun to go on a trip down memory lane and rank my first 10 jobs. I've had a fair few different jobs in the past, so I thought it would be fun to kind of remember what it was like doing those different things and see how I feel about them today. Now, I've created 5 different categories. Category number 1 is please fire me. These are the kind of jobs that I deep down wish someone would have just fired me from and make my life a lot easier, because I think I should have just left them at the time and they weren't too healthy. Category number 2 will be not sending my CV out to again, and these are the sort of jobs that weren't that bad, but I don't think that I would want to do again in the future. Next, I have the spicy vanilla category, and basically that's neither here nor there. There are some good sides, there were some bad sides, but I don't know how I feel about it overall. The 4th category is the life-changing category, and these are the sort of jobs that have drastically changed kind of the direction that my life went into and that I am incredibly grateful for. And the last category is the part-time doctor category, and these are the sort of jobs that at the time I felt as though I wanted to continue doing even after I graduated as a doctor. Before I start, I just want to say that I am incredibly grateful to anyone who has ever given me the chance and hired me, and that every single thing that I've been through at work has been a sort of learning opportunity for me and has taught me so much. So I'm grateful for everything I've been through at work in many ways. And for a slight bit of context, all of these jobs are things that I did essentially to kind of fund my way through medical school and before it. So let's get started. So in order of getting these jobs, we'll start with the very first one, which was being a cleaner, and I did this for around 2 years. It started while I was still in school, and it was the very first job I ever had, so it was quite exciting for me to get some money for the first time, which was great. I initially started working with a friend, which was quite fun, and later I was kind of working on my own. This job was interesting. It's quite a repetitive task. Something else I didn't like about it was the fact that I just was completely invisible, which I guess at the time I kind of appreciated because I was a very shy person, but I think looking back now, I don't think it was very good that I basically got no social skills while doing this job, because I was just like alone doing my own thing and no one would even realize that I was there most of the time. This job was quite physically tiring, of course, because there's a lot of things that you need to like lift and move around, and at times it can be extremely disgusting when you're cleaning not so nice spaces or rooms. I do have a very fun memory because once I was sent to clean at a hospital, and it was one of the most exciting days ever because I just never really had an excuse to be in a hospital before, and I just felt so excited looking at the kind of doctors and nurses and everything that they were doing. One thing that this job has definitely given me is a huge appreciation for cleaners everywhere. I feel as though whenever I enter a building, I do notice cleaners when they're there. And one small thing that I will say is that it's quite nice to kind of say hello and acknowledge their existence, because unfortunately it's not something that happens very often. But yeah, I think this job will probably go in the not sending my CV out to again, because it was not the worst thing on earth, but I don't think it's something that I would want to do again in the future. My second job was being a waitress, and I was a waitress for 2 years, and oh my god, this was not a lot of fun. I think in most categories it would score quite low. It was extremely physically exhausting, much more than being a cleaner, because I had to carry like heavy plates and cutlery from like one end of the restaurant, which was really big, to the other end of the restaurant, and I was just running around all day. We still had to do the cleaning ourselves there as waiters, and we had like 10-hour or 11-hour shifts, and we only had like a tiny lunch break, and the whole rest of the time we were basically like running around like headless chickens. So physically it was extremely exhausting. I think what I disliked about this job was the way that customers would sometimes treat us in the staff, and I think a lot of times things that customers said really got to me, and I just really disliked it. I think overall it was not a great environment to work in, and yeah, I would say again, it depends on the restaurant that you're working in and the staff that you're working with and kind of your luck in what kind of customers you get, but I did not have a great experience as a waitress, so I think this is definitely going to go down the please fire me route, because yeah, I wish I did not have to do this job ever. Next we have Maplin. Oh, this is really cool. So Maplin used to be this kind of electronics hardware store here in the UK, and I worked there for a while, and actually I miss it so much. It was one of my favorite jobs. I was back in customer service, but it was very different to being a waitress. And I think what made the biggest difference was the team of people I worked with were so lovely. Coming from someone who did not even know what an HDMI cord was when I first started this job, it was absolutely incredible how much teaching and support I got from everyone. And they really helped me kind of get out of my shell. And I think that this job, for that reason, was absolutely great. Also, I'm so grateful to my manager at this job because he made me a supervisor for the first time. And I was so nervous. I did not want to take this role, but I'm so happy that he insisted on it and kind of, I guess, saw something in me that I really did not see at the time, because I think that this kind of shifted the way that I thought of myself and how I behaved so much, because being in this management position with such a comfortable team meant that I kind of got a confidence in myself that I never had before. And since that time, I've been kind of a supervisor and manager in many different other roles. And it all started because this one guy said that, no, I know you'll be great. You have to do this. And yes, I think that was incredible. Apart from that, it was just such a great place to work at. We had very decent lunch breaks. We were always kind of playing pranks on one another and just having so much fun all the time. So I remember this job so fondly. I wish Maplin was still open and the team was still there and we would just go back to it for like a few days because it was great. So I think because it made me a manager for the first time, I'm going to go with life-changing for this job. Next was Selfridges. So I worked in the London Selfridges store for the first 2 years of university. There I was a product specialist and also kind of helped with the management and training of kind of the new sales associates that would come in, especially seasonally during the winter times. This job was interesting. I think in the long term, it got quite tiring because, for example, I would have my morning lectures and then I would need to get dressed and ready and go to work in Selfridges, and I would have to like stand up straight and kind of like serve the customers and fix the store and carry all the heavy stuff like in the whole afternoon. And then the whole time thinking in my head that when I got back home at like 11:30 p.m, I would need to then start studying for the next day. So I think in the long term, this job was very tiring for me. I think I took too many shifts than I should have, but I think overall it was great. There was a lot of banter and the group was lovely together. I really actually enjoy customer service in many ways, but I also think there are like 2 or 3 times where customers actually made me cry because they were quite mean. But I think there are ups and downs in every single job and every role. As far as customer service goes, I think Selfridges was a solid job. So with all the pros and cons, I think I'm going to go for spicy vanilla with that one. Next was tutoring. Yes, so I tutored also for 2 years and I was teaching mostly medical students. So with their entrance exams, which are the UCAT, BMAT, how to prepare for interviews, how to write their personal statements, and kind of mentoring, I guess, to get into medical school. And I loved this job. No one in my family has been in medicine or is a doctor, and I had absolutely no support from my school when I got into medicine myself. So I think being able to help younger students who are super passionate about medicine kind of make that journey a bit easier for them and give them a bit more insight and kind of inspire them to do medicine and how great it is was something that I absolutely loved doing. This job was really great. I think the pay was okay for a student, especially it was fine. And yes, I got to work from home a lot of the time. So I think it was okay. I don't think it gave me any major life skills, I guess, because I'd done a fair bit of teaching beforehand. So I think it was very satisfying, but not life-changing. I'd have to say spicy vanilla for this one too. Oh my gosh, next I was a community facilitator at King's. So this is basically someone who kind of throws events with King's students and tries to make them both feel welcomed into the community when they start university, but also keep in touch with them and talk to them and throw more events throughout the year. This was definitely way out of my comfort zone. I am not kind of an event host sort of person, and I'm not a party planner or anything like that. So me having to be in a position where I had to reach out to people first was, I think, quite challenging in the beginning, but I think my stint in customer service definitely helped with that a lot. And I found that I just loved it and thrived in the end. I think this job was overall very fun, I guess, most of the time. I got to work from my residence at the time, so I didn't have to commute or anything like that. There was a lot of pros. It didn't grow me that much as a person, so I think we're going to go with spicy vanilla for that one too. Next is my art job. Oh, this was funny. So last year, this was the 5th job I took on. Yeah, oh my gosh, this was the 5th job that I took on at a time. So in my second year of medical school, I was working 5 jobs, of which this was one. Very bad decision, but I really wanted to try it out. I was basically working with artists on creating realistic 3D models of the human body or human body parts, and it was just so much fun. It was kind of my dream because I always thought that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do art or medicine, so when I got this opportunity to kind of work in specific art and it had something to do with medicine, it just felt perfect, so I wanted to try it out. And I think it was great fun for the first few days, but then it just felt so lonely because I'd kind of be like locked up in the studio just creating things on my own with like music or an audiobook in the background, which does sound lovely, but it's not the kind of thing that I would want in a job, if that makes sense. So I love my alone time when I'm home, and I love to be on my own and kind of relax, and I value just being with no one else so much. But I think at work I love the kind of social interaction and the banter and them making a direct difference in someone's life that is like right in front of me, and I did not get this at all from this role. So I think it made me realize so fast that full-time art was not something for me, which I'm so grateful that I realized, and I kind of can let go of that dream in my head and think that it was yeah, it's great, I do love making art, but I would not want to be a full-time artist. So yeah, that will go into not sending my CV out to again. Yeah, I don't think I would do that again. Next, we have a welfare lead, and this is a job that I am kind of ending in a few weeks now. In this role, I am kind of a first responder for King's students when they need support. And this can be anything from like a family member passing away, especially during COVID time, or facing difficulties with their studies, or students like suffering from mental health issues, or just wanting someone to talk to, or having flat disputes with their flatmates. So basically anything really. And we kind of provide peer support to them and a listening ear to kind of hopefully make them feel a bit better. And this job was perfect for me because this is absolutely what I love to do and kind of what I got into medicine. And I got to do in this job like purely in a communications way. So there was nothing medical in what I was doing. It was just the communication side of it, and it felt so lovely. I physically cannot express the way that my heart is warmed when I end a call with a student and they say that they felt a lot better and they're very grateful, and it just makes me so happy. However, this job was from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning during nights. So it meant that nights were never my own because I could get called up by a student at basically any time. It meant that this last year I've had almost no real downtime or no relaxation time, and that's been extremely challenging. I am a night owl, so I don't really mind staying up late, but on top of everything else, I think this role has been very challenging. And also I found that I have issues in this job which are kind of the same issues that I have in psychiatry, for example, wherein I get really attached to cases and students, and I catch myself the next day kind of thinking, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Have they eaten? Do they feel any better? How did their exam go? And I feel as though I get a bit too involved to the extent that it kind of bleeds a lot into my life and my personal life, and I don't think that that is healthy long term. So I think the fact that I couldn't unwind from this job, that it had very antisocial hours, meant that it was extremely challenging, but it was so rewarding, and it's given me great communication skills, and it's been incredibly rewarding. So I think it's definitely going to fall under spicy vanilla because I don't think it's either here nor there. I can't decide on this one. Next, I have the role of being Ali's assistant, and this is a job that I started about a year and a half ago, and this, I'm going to say right now, is definitely under life-changing. And the reason for that is not the skills at all, but the insight that it gave me into social media. Because I've had issues with social media for a very long time, in that I thought that it was completely pointless and attention-seeking, and I didn't like it. But looking at it from the other end, so Ali's emails or Ali's like DMs from people, I was so shocked very early on into how much of a positive impact one person can have on so many other people's lives. And yes, we can definitely argue whether we trust celebrities more than we should and things like that, but there is no denying, I think, that because he puts out a video, there are certain people in the world whose lives are improved. And that was just mind-blowing to me. And the fact that it didn't even need to be educational content, but it could literally be a vlog or talking about your own life, and that could somehow resonate with other people, I don't think I appreciated it enough, because I knew that it could be possible and I can see how it could be possible, but I did not actually appreciate the impact that it can have on others. So that completely shifted my opinion on social media in general, and was definitely the catalyst towards starting this YouTube channel eventually myself. So super grateful, definitely a life-changing role. Going for someone who was extremely shy, the one thing that gave me the confidence to apply for a lot of these jobs was the belief that I can actually learn anything. And this is something that I stick to very passionately. I think that if we all have a good scientific basis, we are able to learn any sort of skill, basically. And because scientific literacy is something that is a lifelong journey, much like every sort of learning is, it is something that even today, after having had over 10 jobs, I do focus a lot of my attention and time to. One of the ways that I love to do this is by using Brilliant, which are very kindly sponsoring this video. The exercises that I have found the most valuable towards my working skills are those on logic. I would definitely use something like Brilliant to give you that firm belief and confidence that you can actually approach anything that you want, and you will eventually learn how to do it. And if you do want to check out Brilliant, I will have a link in my description which will give you 20% off the annual subscription. And lastly is the job that I've been recently doing, which is something of a project manager slash strategy consultant for the academy. And I think this job was very dangerous because I liked it a lot. It kind of married everything that I am interested in that it had this huge creative aspect to it. It had the fact that I was communicating directly with people and working in a team and trying to kind of improve a product which eventually improves people's lives. And there was just so many aspects of communication, working with a very cool team and getting to do whatever I want, basically, and all for a very great goal, in my opinion, meant that this was a job that I felt that, okay, I know I'm just started this because I need money for medical school, but I can see how I could still continue something like this well into the future. So that job will, I think, go into the category of a part-time doctor, which is where I'm going to lead it. But yes, that was everything. That was a longer list than I thought. There's these little jobs here and there, like I did pea picking for a while or selling cheese at a market and things like that. But I just think that this video is already very, very long, so I don't think I'm going to go down the path of those jobs. So yes, this is a kind of overview of my employment history, and I think this video is kind of like a CV, isn't it? So yeah, I hope this was entertaining in any shape or form. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't believe everything you think. Thanks, bye!